What I want to talk about is just how disabled people have like intimacy with another human being.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is like almost none, but still.
Yeah, so you're curious about how people who have different disabilities and different physical limitations are still able to interact sexually?
Yeah, well, yes, because like I'm disabled, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't have enough experience in that kind of sense, even though that I had high experience, but it's not like that much.
Okay.
So I've been wondering, like, what is your take in like that kind of sense? I mean, how would you feel if a disabled person comes to you and then says like, I don't know, let's have sex, and then you said yes? Like, how would you
imagine? I'd feel pretty good.
Yeah,
if somebody came to me and said, "Let's have sex," and I said yes.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely. It can be an added complication, right?
It depends. I mean, disability is such a broad category.
Absolutely. I think that's the first thing to really get at is what kinds of things are we talking about? Because, I mean, depression can be a disability that has incredibly dire sexual consequences for many folks, but we don't necessarily see it that same way.
I have a couple friends with disabilities of different types who have much more sex and much better sex than I probably ever will. So,
yeah. Okay. So the kind of disability that I have is that I cannot move all my right side. My, like, let's say my right side is unable to move.
Yep.
Right? So how would you manage to, like, I don't know.
I think
how would you manage?
I think I kind of understand the question that you're trying to get to. And I think find, if you are able to, and the internet is a great place to look.
Or it was.
Yeah. Look for someone who likes being dominant, who likes, and by that I don't mean like a dominatrix. I just mean someone who likes to be the dominant one, who likes to be on top, who likes to
be the giver.
Yes.
Yeah, if you're in a situation where you have partial mobility issues and that might diminish your ability to do certain things, there's plenty of people out there who would be like, I don't care that you can't, move your right side.
I can move my side.
I can move both sides, and I can, you've got your left side, and I can help out. There's somebody out there. I mean, I'm not saying you can just, hop online and find somebody in the next 20 minutes, but I do some unusual, like, exploratory conversations with sex workers on a frequent basis. And the number of them that are just, in addition to, trying to make a buck, but genuinely giving people that this, I found out that I need, well, no, we're not going there. I was going to talk about, I need to be in a relationship with people who I can help in some way because that helps me to help them. So I'm more giving in that sense.
Something you're motivated by, yeah.
There are other people who are going to be in similar situations. I don't want to pretend like it's going to be easy. Like, hey, I called Secular Sexuality. They told me to go out and find somebody, and boom, there they were.
Ta-da! Yeah, I think it really comes down to two important steps. One is making sure to maintain a broad idea of what sex is. I think if we wrap up this show, if we were to get canceled tomorrow, if we were just done, the one thing I would want to make sure
you jinxed it.
Yeah, now it'll happen. Episode 13, we're done. Wrap it up, pack it in.
Matt's fault.
Yeah. The message I would want to leave the world with is this idea that sex is not a penis inside of a vagina. P and V sex, intercourse, even other forms of sexuality that involve two men or two women, that is also not all that sex is. Sex can be by yourself. Sex can be, doesn't necessarily include orgasm. It is a broad conceptualization that can include a lot of things. And so not everybody wants all of those things, but recognizing for yourself that your sexuality may be a number of different things and expanding those definitions. The other thing is working with professionals, whether that's a physical therapist, whether that's your doctors, whether that's a sex therapist, to talk about what your limitations might be and what some strategies that other folks are using or could use to overcome them.
And the other thing about talking about experts is they can help you figure out how you breach these communications with other people. So you need to first, and it's really easy to say, get yourself some confidence and realize that you have value. But you do. You need to realize that you have value to other people, and that if you're entering a relationship, we need better communication. We need clear and honest communication. That's the only way you can get to informed, enthusiastic consent. That's the best sex you're ever going to have is, people will be like, well, isn't it just so awkward to be like out and dating and maybe playing the game, and then all of a sudden it becomes more like a contract. Okay, well, if you're pulling out a contract, you've probably gone a bit too far.
Unless that's your kink.
If it's your kink, go for it.
Your kink is not my kink. That kink is okay.
Kink is okay.
But I've never had bad sex that started with a conversation about what we both wanted and cared about. However, I have had bad sex that did not start with that conversation.
Yeah, and if that conversation is coming from a place of, well, you might not like this, and I have to warn you, then that is going to be a tricky and uncomfortable thing. And like Matt's saying, confidence isn't something you can just buy at a store. But by rehearsing these things, by talking them through with professionals, by preparing yourself, you have something beautiful and exciting to sell that somebody wants.
I think that one of the things that's problematic is that we are not conditioned to be honest for fear of rejection. And so what we end up doing is, oh, let me kind of tiptoe around this and maybe kind of hint and blah, 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 and see if maybe, oh, did that go too far? Well, then I'm definitely not going to tell you about this, but I don't want to lose this relationship, so I'm going to start making compromises, and then we'll stay together, it'll all work. And what you end up doing is you've intentionally put yourself in a relationship with somebody who doesn't want the same things you do. And I know that it's frustrating as hell. You know, I had a friend, I'm gonna retract that. I have a friend of a friend, because he was not really a friend of mine, who would literally walk into bars and just go from woman to woman saying, hi, my name's so-and-so, would you like to come home and have sex with me? Now, we can talk all day about how creepy that is, but it's forthright.
That is so creepy.
Yeah. But I'll tell you this.
Not the best opening line.
It works?
Of course it works. Somebody out there is going to say yes. You just ask enough people. The thing is, that may not be the best strategy, but when that person ends up having sex, everybody knows what page you're on to start with. And I think this fear of missing out on a relationship that might have involved some compromise is legitimate, in the sense that if you can, like, I have changed some things about myself in order to be with some people. I don't think that was a mistake. I think that was valuable. I learned from it. I benefited from a relationship. But if my goal was to just, hey, I really want to find the right person for me to be in a relationship, be it romantic, sexual, whatever, the best thing I could do is not just walk up to random people and say, hi, I like this, and here's my kink, and here's blah, blah, blah. But in the process of the conversation, be honest. And if you don't like something, say you don't like something. If you say you like something, and if you're afraid of what their reaction is going to be to what you like, if their reaction is negative to what you like, then you probably shouldn't be with them, if that's what you like, if it's important to you. You know, if you're like, hey, I only like really long hair, and you're talking to somebody who shaves their head, you know, and that's the way they want to be, now you're in a position where you're constantly dealing with this issue of, am I trying to change them? Are they trying to change me? You know, and it's fine to change, but if you just start with an honest conversation, things go a hell of a lot easier.
Yeah, less grief.
Okay. Well, that's the issue, though. I'm so, straightforward. Like, if I'm in a relationship, then I give my 100%. I just care about the person that I'm with. I just do everything by the book because my mom taught me. You know, if you have something to give, then you must give it 100%, right?
I don't know. Your mom might be wrong.
Yeah, I just know that right now.
Yeah.
But the thing is that sometimes the people is not that open to that idea.
It's harder and harder to find people who are open to things as we begin to deviate from whatever we've slapped a label on for normalcy at the moment. Yeah, that's why we're all quick to point out that, you know, we're not necessarily saying this is going to be easy, but it's doable. 7 billion people on the planet. I'm pretty sure that there's, you know, probably 1 million or so that would be happy to.
Yeah, I don't know how to crunch the numbers, but I'm confident that somebody is interested in having sex with you, and if you work at it, you can find that person, and you can make the right introduction, have the right conversation. And again, I would really encourage you, whether it's through an organization like ASECT or, of course, the Secular Therapy Project or these different avenues, to pursue a little bit of expertise as you're working through the particulars and the specifics of your particular limitations.
Yeah, because I do jerk off like almost twice a day. Okay.
So there's interest, yeah.
Almost twice a day.
Yeah, but it is commonly.
Those are JV numbers, buddy. You got to get those up.
I'm just figuring out how you get to like once a day, twice a day,
yes.
Almost twice a day.
Almost twice a day.
You know, like 12 times a week.
Like I ruined one so that the two tomorrow are even better.
Yeah, but the thing is that I know that it is not healthy.
Why?
Why not?
What about that is not healthy?
Yeah.
Jerking off twice a day
is
fantastic. Perfectly healthy.
You're doing pretty good. I can remember times in my past when I was younger when there were days where it'd be 4 or 5 times a day, and then other times where it was once a day, once a week. Well, probably never.
Yeah, am I still considered younger? I don't know where that cutoff is, but yeah, you're.
As long as it's not negatively impacting some other part of your life, I don't care if you jerk off all day long.
Yeah. You may get dehydrated, but apart from that,
do you love yourself?
I'm sorry, what?
I was asking if you love yourself. It seems like a perfectly reasonable thing to do. It's a natural part of what human beings need. And, you know, they had Daryl Ray on last week, and I know Daryl's incredibly fond of masturbation because he won't stop talking about it.
Yes.
And good for him, because clearly, just from you calling, there are still people who need to be informed.
Reminded.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not going to go blind.
Yeah.
I promise.
You're not.
You don't have a limited number.
You're not going to break it. Yeah, hairy palms. I didn't grow up with that one. So when somebody told me at like 25 that was a myth they'd grown up with, that masturbating too much would give them hairy palms, I blew my mind.
I remember somebody tried to convince me that you had a limited number of orgasms that you could have.
And you have to save them for the right person.
And I was like, well, if that's the case, let's get this shit over while I'm still young and healthy. What do I want 500 orgasms stashed up for when I'm 93?
Seriously.
Not that 93-year-olds shouldn't be having orgasms. By all means, do it. But I'm going to get it in now.
I think this is going to be, Mo, I think the tagline for today's show is going to be, you can never have too many orgasms and you can never jerk off too much. Unless it's negatively impacting your life in other ways, but generally
we should just call it Mo orgasms are better. In honor of Mo.
Yeah, because I feel good. I feel happy.
Heck yeah.
Once I masturbate.
Yeah, you're the one who's going to know how to do it right.
Dopamine, yeah, absolutely, and it also gives you an opportunity to understand your body, which is going to be important when working with a partner, particularly as you're working through these different types of limitations.
Yeah. How can you possibly tell somebody else what you like if you haven't explored to find out what you like?
Yeah,
that's the issue, though, because I don't have enough female partners to go to. So that will be a problem, though.
I tell you what, you start walking around telling people you're jerking off twice a day, you'll find somebody. No, that's a joke. Don't take that seriously.
Don't walk up to every woman at a bar and point that out.
It's a bad idea. But
I was gonna say, like, okay, so I present myself as, hi, I jerk off twice a day. So are you into it?
I would put that on a dating profile on a website where sexual information was included. I would not include that in like my elevator pitch. Yeah. Not that you should have an elevator pitch for sex, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's clear to say that there are folks out there interested and able, and go find them. I'm glad that you called, and I really hope that you definitely leave this conversation knowing that the way that you love yourself, the way that you touch yourself, all of that is great.
And tomorrow you should jerk off 3 times just because you thought there might be a problem with 2.
Yeah.
Well, I was planning to jerk off like right now, but
you go for it. As we wrap up the show, we tell everyone go give yourself an orgasm.
Yeah, I have to say, Megan, that's about the easiest segue into our evening wrap up I've ever had.
I know, just on a silver platter.
Every week somebody should call in and say, I was going to go jerk off right now, and then you'll be set,
right?
Be like, oh, I guess you're our final caller.
Thanks, Mo.
Thank you, Mo, so much.